Okay, this is not a technical talk, but it's as important as a technical talk. How many of you are actually aware of policy development process in this region? When I say this region, this is APNIC region, right? And you're all network operators. So how many of you are actually aware of how the policies are made or created? No one? Maybe I should stand here and talk for a little while then. I was expecting, to wrap up 5 minutes and give it to Manoj. So David's presentation, he touched base on policy. And also, I'm not sure how many of you actually noticed his slides. He also had public comments, right? So I'd like to give a quick update on the proposals which went through the decision-making process and which became or will become on 3rd of July a policy. Okay. Now, if you go to APNIC, if you need IPv4 address right now, and if you go to APNIC, what is the allocation size that you will receive? Slash? Slash 24, slash 23. I got two answers. Slash 20. Okay, you're out of the room. You're out of the room. Okay, the 24 is correct. That's the minimum allocation size that you can get assignment. And the maximum is slash 23. So some of you are actually following what's happening in the policy side. Because right now, if you come to APNIC, or even if you go to IRIN, the NIR in India, and you request for an allocation, the maximum you get is slash 23. That's all, not more than that, okay? So it's good to keep an eye on the policy changes. And before I go to the implementation part of the policies, but if you are wondering, how do I take part in this policy process development, which is very critical for you guys to actually take part in this one, because some of the policies that directly affect the network operators, okay? And I'm going to touch base on the policy that we just going to implement, or what today is first, right? We just implemented yesterday. Before I go, in short, PDP, when we say PDP, it's policy development process, and it's done by the community, by you guys, not by APNIC. APNIC as a registry implements them and comes to the NOGs, and we update you, okay? We update you what went on, what is the current status, and we update you. But these are actually made by you. These are proposed by you, these are discussed by the community, and these are made by you. These are pretty much open to anyone. When I say open to anyone, because we are in APNIC region, that doesn't mean that only APNIC region can participate in this development process. Anyone in this world can join and participate. So if you guys are interested, in debates in policy going on, proposals going on RIPE region in Europe or in US, you can go and freely participate. They're all open. And they're pretty much transparent. You can actually see the history of that proposal, which became a policy, on the APNIC website. You can actually see what went on, which conference it was discussed, who proposed it, you can go on. And they're bottom up. When I say it's done by community, it's done by you, it's the bottom up process, okay? The top down approach of this is the implementation of it. And when the community says, okay, we agree with this proposal, we want this to become a policy, and that when it goes to APNIC board for approval, because APNIC board represents you, the community. They approve it and we implement it. So there's a life cycle of this development process. It gets sent, the main important points is how you participate. You can participate in the mailing list when we put it on the mailing list, and I'll show you the URL, the link where you can join if you're not a member. There's no membership fee, and it's not just open for any APNIC members. It's open for the entire community, okay? The authors submit the proposal, and you could be an author, and you could have picked something in today's presentations here that you may thought that, we need to change it. Then you can put forward a proposal, and that goes to the community on the mailing list, and then that goes to a SIG, like a meeting like this at APNIC conferences where everyone comes together and the proposer will come and present the policy, the proposal, and then everyone discusses, okay? It will be just like this, people will queue up, they say they agree with that proposal, or they say they don't agree with, and they give the reason why they don't agree with. And then if it reaches the decision there by the community, we put it back to the mailing list again. Why we do that? Because not everyone will be able to travel to APNIC conferences and attend the meeting in person. So we provide remote participation, but we put it back again on the mailing list. And the final decision, if it's maintained that the community agrees with that proposal, then we send it to the APNIC board for their endorsement of that, and we implement it. So this is the mailing list. My slides will be on the INNOG website, or you can go on to apnic.net and look for policy, and you see. You can subscribe to it. You can be part of the policy seek process and express your questions, your concerns, your against, for proposals, and keep up to date with what's happening in the policy world as well. As I said, it affects the networks, managing the networks. And we do provide remote participation. If you can't come to the APNIC conference, you can join by Adobe Connect or YouTube. You can join and you can still participate in the debates. It's a concession making process. It's not by voting. That means we don't ask for you to raise hand, how many support and how many disagree, and we don't count the hands, but it's a rough consensus. We look at the temperature of the room, how many are saying they agree with this, and how many are not. So the important goal is, the important objective is you all working together with each other, okay? If there's any disagreements in this group, during the break times, take that opportunity to talk to the person why that person is disagreeing it, know the reasons why it is, and you work together. So what are the current policies which became proposals which became policies? One is the proposal number, which is we give a proposal every number. So it's 125. Validation of abuse mailbox and other IRT emails. Now I have few slides on that, which we just implemented it, and it's very important for the network operators, okay? The other one, I asked the question, what is the delegate allocation that you receive from APNIC? So currently it's /23, okay? And also, can you receive, if you are a member of APNIC on IRIN, which you already have resources from either of us? No, you can't, okay? This is only for the new members. The new networks coming into place, and those who require IP addresses. If you already have IPv4 addresses, you can't get that /23. It's only reserved, it's only for the new members. The other change that happened that's implemented is going to be implemented on 3rd of July. If I'm still free here, I'll do the implementation and I'll send it to the community. Is multi-homing not required for ASN. So in the past, when you require AS number, either you have to be multi-home, or you have a plan to multi-home within a year. But now that's got changed. Now it says either you are multi-homed to get an AS number, or you have a need to interconnect with other AS. Now where do you interconnect with other AS? Where do you interconnect? At an IXP, at an IX, mostly at an IX point. So there is a growing demand in the community that, that policy, previous one was old, the technology changed. Now there's a lot of IXPs are coming. We are interconnecting at the IXPs with an AS number, okay? In the past, APNIC rejected those, but now we can't reject those requests. We have to accept because it's going to be implemented. The other one is abolishing waiting list for unmet IPv4 request. Now, how many of you are on the waiting list to get IPv4 from APNIC or from IRIN? How many of you? Anyone? Are you waiting? You're not waiting? Well, there's a long list. If you go to the APNIC website, there's a long list of APNIC members who already received a IPv4. They can't go to the market to buy IPv4 resources, so they're waiting from the recovered resources. So APNIC do recover resources, right? If the member doesn't pay fees, we close the account. Of course, we send many reminders before we close the account. We just don't take them off. But we send reminders. If they still don't, we take them off. And we put it back in the recovered pool. We also receive allocations from IANA, which David was referring to before, because IANA makes allocations to all the RARs. Whatever they resile, they give it to RARs to distribute. Now the members who received IPv4 allocation from the last block, in the last policy, they were eligible to get more IPv4 from the recovered pool. Now with this implementation of this policy, this proposal, that list is gone. We will remove that list. That means no member is on the waiting list anymore. And whatever we recovered will go into that last /8 pool, which is this one. The maximum will be 23, and it's only for new members, not for existing members or current members. Okay? Is it clear? Okay, now let's go into the most interesting part, the abuse mailbox. Why did we create an incident response team object in the database? What is the purpose for you network operators with this object? Can anyone tell me what is the purpose of incident response team object in the database? It was created, it was asked by the community. They put the proposal, it reached consensus, and then we implemented it. We now have every allocation that you received from APNIC have a IRT object. In short, we call it IRT object in the database. Okay? What is the purpose of this? This is if you're having any issues with the other network or the users of the other network, you can raise that issue with the operator's network. You trace the IP, you look at the IP, right? And you say, okay, this IP belongs to, you go to the database, you search, and you say this IP belongs to this organization. Now my clients or my users or my network is getting attacked by this IP from this organization's IP block. So you go to this database, you find the incident response team, you find their email address or contact details, and you write to them. What do you expect when you write an email? You expect a response. But most of the members, most of the organizations, they automated that process. Okay? They automated this process. And the response is not coming back to whoever is raising a complaint or issue. Okay? They receive an automated response, a standard response that, yes, thank you, so and so, we are looking into it, we will get back to you. But that never happens. And so our networks who are having actually issues with those blocks, the IP addresses, are not finding a way to resolve them. They come to APNIC, and we know who that network is, we make a link, okay? But we don't want to be policing it all the time. We are a registry. We are not a police to police the networks, okay? So the community came up with this proposal. What happens in this proposal? This is going to be big. I think, if I'm not wrong, either yesterday or this week, all APNIC members will receive email from APNIC about this policy. What will happen? All email addresses in IRT object will receive an email, okay, with a validation code. We will provide a code, okay. And this is to see whether that email ID which is in the IRT object is actually monitored by someone or not, okay. So pay attention. If you're not monitoring that email ID and you received an email from APNIC, you are not aware of it, what will happen is we do a reminders, but we are going to mark your IRT object invalid in the database. Okay, that's the first one. We will mark your IRT object invalid. I have an example I'll show you. Why are we going to do this? Because it has to be demonstrated that a person is actually monitoring that abuse mailbox. And that's the reason that we're going to send a code to you, that you take that code, you validate it in your My APNIC portal. All members have a portal to validate. Okay. Now, I'm only focusing on APNIC members here. Okay, this is the first phase of implementation of this policy. The second phase of implementation of this policy is your customers. Okay, your customers, they have to do the same process as well. And we will do the same thing. We will mark their objects invalid if they don't validate it. So we have a timeline. We do it 15 days, 30 days, you know. After 30 days, we will actually restrict your access to My APNIC. That's your portal. Unless you fix it, you won't have all the access to My APNIC. Okay, you will have limited access to My APNIC. Now, this explains, the diagram explains, you can look it on the website when we publish, it just says, when we send emails and everything. This is the IRT object. It looks like this in the database, in the WHOIS database. And you have put email and address mailbox, right? So we're going to send emails to these two listed ones here. And there's no resolution, then we'll mark this as invalid. We'll update this remarks field and we say this object is invalid because we couldn't validate the email IDs, all right? And the process continues. We will resend the emails to validate. So what do APNIC members have to do? If we have My APNIC access, that's good. If you don't have My APNIC access, you register it. You just go to apnic.net, register for My APNIC access, read the policy. The policies are listed there. You can read and understand the changes. And you ensure that your IRT contacts are up to date. You update them. And you regularly monitor that mailboxes that you publish that in the object, okay? For any issues or complaints that you've been receiving from your peers. Basically, who do you receive complaints from? I'm not your peer. I'm not going to complain to you, okay? It's your other network operators who's going to asking you help. So you should be helping each other here, okay? And the proposals under discussion, this is where you need to engage and participate. One is modification of transfer policies. Now, the merger and acquisition, if you merge with a company or you acquired a company, usually they are not part of inter-RAR transfers. That means, let me explain further. So you are in APNIC region and you acquired a company in RIPE region in Europe. You can't transfer resources currently, okay? This proposal is saying that they should be allowed, subject to both the RIRs have that inter-policy agreement, okay, subject to that. Now, these days, I think almost all the RIRs have that inter-RIR transfer policy, except the APNIC region, they're still discussing about it. I know LACNIC region, they just passed that policy there, so it's going to be implemented soon. The other two proposals are clarification on IPv6 sub-assignments. To be honest with you, it's currently happening, but the proposer actually want to bring it to everyone that is happening, but let's put it in the policy, okay? Everyone is doing it. What I mean by that, you are in this conference here. Suppose if there is a IPv6 network here, you're bringing your device and you're connecting it, right? You're sharing that IP addresses. But this proposal is saying that, that block should become assignment, a sub-assignment of that whoever is using or whichever the SpectraNet is giving us bandwidth. So that's one. And there's a proposal to actually update the current policy development process. There's few steps that the proposer is proposing that I said, it goes to mailing list once and then reach consensus. And if you looked at the diagram, I'll put it back. It reached consensus in the policy SIG meeting and then it goes to the AMM. So the proposer is removing this part. The proposer is saying that, you're discussing here, you're discussing there, why you need to go back here to the AMM. But this is member meeting, APNIC member meeting. The reason why we take it back to the APNIC member meeting is not every member attends the policy SIG, because there's in the conference, at APNIC conference, you have parallel tracks. Here you only have one track, everyone sitting in this one room, but at APNIC conference you have multiple tracks. So some may be not sitting in that policy SIG and listening to the proposals. They may be in a technical session attending. But when it's AMM, when it's APNIC member meeting, it's for members. And there's no other parallel track happening, so everyone in the same room. So we take it back. But the proposer is saying that, we don't need that. I don't know what will happen to that proposal. It's up to the community to decide what to do. So what's next? Just revising myself here, in conclusion, that subscribe to the mailing list, policy SIG mailing list, and be part of it. Review the proposals. If there's any proposals for public comment, for community comments, please review and comment. Discuss with others and participate at the SIG. The upcoming conference is in Thailand. in September. Registrations are still open. If you are an APNIC member, you get 4 free registrations to APNIC conference. So you can send your colleagues or you come and join. And we have 5 days of workshops, 5 different workshops or 4 different workshops, and 3 days of conference. And if you'd like to come and speak, we're still accepting papers as well. So that's all from me on the policy side. Thank you so much. And me and my colleagues will be here. You can talk to me. I see a hand raising there. Yes, please.
Sir, my question is why you are still allocating IPv4 block?
Because you guys are asking us to still allocate.
No, if you recall my discussion in 2006, when we were meeting in Sanog, Bhutan, you said that you are going to stop IPv4 allocation to uplift the IPv6 demand. You are coming with a proposal recently where you are saying the minimum block allocation will be /24. Till when you are going to allocate /24? Why don't you just allocate the /20 block, finish up your /8 and make everyone's life easy? Okay,
that's a good question. As I said, it's policies are done by the community, and so they're safeguarding themselves, I can say it. And also it's not fair that, okay, you're all mature networks. You all have your networks in place, you have V4, V6, you're deploying V6. But what if I want to start my business now, right now? I can't go straight into IPv6.
Sorry, sir, but when we started, we are at the same place where IPv6 is today. So if a new startup is coming with his new idea, he should adopt IPv6 the way we adopted IPv4.
Yep.
So what's the difference?
So the current policy is only for the new businesses, new entrants, right? For them to leapfrog into the IPv6. You can't expect them to straight away come learn IPv6, You guys are still learning. How many of you deployed? I only see Rio deploying it, Bharti Airtel is deploying. I can see their graph is going up a little bit.
I don't call dual stack as a real IPv6, right?
Of course, yeah.
So
and we don't have any media.
Yeah, let me intervene here. So he is not authority to decide the policy.
But that's fine, Ajay.
So if you have the proposal, just put up the proposal. Let's discuss in the committee and decide what should be there.
He is authority.
No, he is not the authority. He is not the authority to decide.
No. It's okay. Discussion is good. Allow the discussion. It's and everyone is listening. And what he's saying could be right. Others may saying yes. We don't want any more IPv4 to be given out. Put a policy proposal.
It's 15 years, Chief.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying.
No, that's why I am saying submit a proposal. Let's discuss in the committee and decide.
You submit a proposal, and if your colleagues agree with you, your peers agree with you, no allocation of IPv4, we just keep it.
Yeah.
You are the rights.
So anyway, I have not come to add in the discussion on the same topic. Sunny, I think one is that public IPv4 issues, that in any case the discussion will continue. I think industry or bigger operator are facing the problem of a private IPv4 availability. Because if the ecosystem is not ready, they are deploying CGNet, and then they have to use a private address space. So RFC 1918 has a limited IPv4, and that is where the major problem is. Public IPv4, somebody can buy and still in fact get it, share it, something can be done, but we don't have any solution for a private space. So it happened, we had a discussion with IETF and requested them to take up this. There are a couple of special purpose pools which are unused, available as of now. For example, 127/8. Only one IP, 127.0.1
for the loopback,
is used. Whole of these 16 million minus one IP address is unused space. It's a big size. Similarly, 0/8, right, completely not in use. So these are the two major blocks which are available, which we can be utilized. So while we talk with ITF, is there any parallel track where RIRs can take up with ITF or with INA to explore the possibility how these two blocks at least, there are a couple of others, if the two blocks can be explored, and then what is required is a new revised like RFC guideline need to go to the OEMs where they can incorporate the routing in their product so that these are routable, these are portable, and then industry can utilize them.
It's a very good, valid point. The reserved space, that private space, is actually not with RIRs. It's pretty much with IETF and IANA as well. But I'm just thinking out loud here. As a community, if you put a proposal through the RIR system, through the RIR PDP process, maybe that will add some pressure, some attention from the IANA and IETF to look into that and see whether anything can be done to release those blocks into the public space instead of private space. But that may take a long time, and also that may have consequences of, because it's been out in the private space for so long, a lot of networks would have configured that, cleaning up process might take long as well for those blocks, the private address space blocks.
So,
But on one side, I'm hearing that we don't need IPv4. On the other side, okay, but that's fine. As a community member,
yeah,
you
so
have your
even,
say.
even the use case for a private IPv4 and public IPv4 is different. What is trying to focus on how we can
Private,
stop,
public.
Stop, of
signing
course, yes.
public IPv4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, here we are talking how we can make use and increase the space for the private IPv4.
V4, yes. That's pretty much with IANA and IETF. It's not in the RAR process, yeah. And but I also I was going to answer to because, but you came. I believe if anyone goes to IETF meetings here, correct me. I think there was a discussion at IETF to actually stop allocating IPv4, full stop. But I don't know what happened to that, whether it's still discussing there or not. Do you have more questions, Ramesh?
No, that's all.
Thanks, Ramesh.
Thanks, Ramesh, for asking this interesting question. And we need IPv4. Whatever is available, whatever is possible, whosoever can get it. That is one. He is coming from developed world.
Yeah, he should migrate to Australia, not sit here.
Developed world. So that is number one. Number two, in addition to the addresses which you mentioned, Ramesh, there are certain legacy IP addresses. Like a plot of land not being used for long, municipal corporation comes and says, ki, okay, you are not using it for the last 20 years, this becomes acquired. So there are certain IP addresses which are either not in the registry, number one, or they are in the registry, but their utilization could be 5%, 8%, this thing. So whether such IP addresses could be recovered or should be recovered and brought into the pool for to be used by developing world which opened eyes much later than developed world. For example, in India, we woke up in 2006 or so when the APNIC meeting took place, and we understood that IPv4 getting address is important, and then APNIC also said, please take, please take, please take. It may end, it may end. Thank you.
So thanks, Rajesh. I think you are referring to the legacy space, right?
Yes.
Yeah, legacy space. We actually, I'm not sure about other RARs, but at APNIC, and my colleague Pupudu can correct me if I'm wrong, we started on this just this year to actually look at all the unused IPv4 address, right, Pupudu? Unused IPv4 address, and we will proactively we will send email to members to point out that they received an allocation but they're not using it. But this part is very tricky. When we say not using it, they might come back to APNIC and say, how do you know that I'm not using it, right? Because they could be using in a private network that we can't see it from the outside world. If it's in the public space, we can see it. But if it's in the private network, if they're using the public IP address as a private IP address, we can't see that one. But we are going to do that. That process has started, Pupudu, or we're going to start soon?
Yeah, we are going to send out emails.
Soon, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I
That's a
have
proactive approach from a registry point of view. There's no policy around it, but yeah.
Sunny,
Anurag, so one more?
yeah, one more question. And regarding the IRT update,
Yeah.
so you mentioned regarding the APNIC members. What
Yeah.
is the status of IRN members? So
Um,
are you going to send emails to them, and they are going to get the code, and they have to share with Irene, then Irene is going to update? What will be the process?
A very good question, and you are putting me on the spot. So, the policy development process at APNIC is the same as the NARs as well.
Okay.
It's same for NARs as well.
Okay.
When a policy proposal becomes a policy at APNIC, there's a expectation as per the agreement with NARs that it will be implemented in the NAR region as well. But it's actually subject to their decision, really. And also, if you look at the proposal, when you go to the last section of the proposal, it says that it's up to the NAR's discretion.
Oh.
Okay. In reality, we expect the NARs to implement it as well, because this is something good for the community. Whether it's NAR members or APNIC members, as a whole, we are just one community, right? And it's good for the. So we expect that when we implement a policy, that NARs also implement it straight away, or maybe a year after. It's up to really them.
So
In
basically-
this case, this one also, it's really up to the NARs to implement it or not, or when they're going to implement it, if
So
they implement it.
Basically, APNIC is not going to send email to Irene members,
No.
IRT Objects emails?
No, we're
Okay.
not.
So they have to send, and
Yes.
they have to generate that code,
Yes.
they have to validate it?
Yes, they
Okay,
have to,
thank
yes.
you.
But we will send to the customers.
Yeah,
as
last
well.
question.
Sure. I have quick two comments,
Yes.
no questions. So
Yeah.
one is on the Vikas point about getting away with IPv4. Well, it depends on where you are sitting. So if you are an ISP, maybe it might be possible to an extent with netting and other options. But if you are a content player, let's talk about the INNOG website. I am the webmaster for INNOG website. Can I remove IPv4 from the website? Well, a large number of you in the room won't be able to access the website, and that breaks the things. So it depends on where you are sitting. You cannot just have a disconnect from the IPv4 right away. You will have serious problems. The other part is on the question from Mr. Ramesh Chandra about the loop back.
Private, yeah.
So I don't know about the 0000, but it made me curious. So I logged in on my Ubuntu server, just looked at the loopback IP. So 127.0.0.1, we are all familiar with it.
Yeah.
I looked at the subnet. So subnet mask is /8. You'll
That's-
have a much harder time in getting it removed
Yeah, that's what.
in future Linux updates in order to use it. So you'll probably have better luck with the 24% of the chips and vendors you mentioned who do not support V6 yet. It would be easier for them to support V6 instead of having a new proposal to get it removed from all the possible, or at least 90% plus servers to make it usable. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sunny, for giving update on APNIC policy.
Just
And-
to
yes.
add this comment, Anurag, we were aware about the fact wherein what is required is when the ITF acknowledged that yes, there is a need to review the RFC, wherein they make a modification and mandate to the OEMs to incorporate the code changes. Currently 127 is not, it is routable but not forwardable. So to make it forwardable, they need to modify the changes.
Right.
So those options are feasible. It can be done, but the time to change it is going to be longer time. So the community here maybe are trying to make use of it. They may not able to utilize short time frame, but at least the people, okay, or other operators maybe a later stage may be able to get benefited.
So let's put hand together for Sunny.